Hello and welcome to WION's live broadcast. I'm William Denslow from New York. Let's start with the top headlines of the day. NATO's chief says Russia plans to militarily take the entire Donbass region in eastern Ukraine, with the aim of creating a corridor from Russia to annexed Crimea. The United States is barring Russia from making debt payments using funds held at American banks, ramping up the economic pain on Moscow over its invasion of Ukraine. The United Nations says that more than 7.1 million people are estimated to have been internally displaced by Russia's war in Ukraine. Chinese authorities have extended a lockdown in Shanghai to cover all of the financial centre's 26 million people, where the latest figures show only 268 daily COVID-19 cases. Tesla's founder and CEO Elon Musk will be joining Twitter's board of directors after it was revealed that he's bought more than 9% of the company's stock. The gruesome killings in the Ukrainian town of Bucha have produced new momentum for the West to hold Russia accountable. The European Union and Ukraine have launched a new probe into the potential war crimes in the Kiev suburbs of Bucha, where bodies were found strewn in the streets. France too has launched 3 separate inquiries over possible war crimes in Ukraine. The European Union is facing rising pressure to accept a painful economic hit by totally cutting off Russian oil, coal, chemicals and wood exports. The ban on coal will be worth around €4 billion a year. If the ban gets approved by member states, it would be the first one adopted by the bloc on any energy imports from Russia. Meanwhile, sources claim that Germany, which is heavily dependent on Russian energy, has agreed to support a phased EU embargo on coal imports. Now the bloc wants to reduce Moldova's exposure to Russia. Europe's poorest country relies on Russia for its energy supplies too. So Germany has decided to extend a no-strings-attached €50 million loan to help Moldova deal with the emerging refugee and energy crisis.
We want to strengthen our cooperation with Moldova beyond immediate needs for the long term. Together with our Moldovan partners, we want to assess how we can help reduce Moldova's dependency on Russia economically, financially, and with view to energy needs, and to strengthen the country's resilience.
More countries have joined other European nations in expelling Russian diplomats from their shores. The Scandinavian nation of Sweden will expel 3 Russian diplomats for spying charges. Italy, meanwhile, has expelled 30 Russian diplomats because of security concerns. And Denmark has said it would expel 15 Russian diplomats over brutal killings of civilians near Kiev. Russian officials say the latest accusations levelled against them are groundless. The Kremlin says that the images from Bucha were staged by Ukraine. The West is unwilling to intervene directly in Ukraine and risk a disastrous clash with Russia. Ukrainian officials are calling for greater action from the West. Some feel current sanctions may starve funding for the war, but might not stop the killings or attacks. However, the US is building the financial pressure on Russia. Now, after imposing financial sanctions following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Washington is acting to eat into Russia's holdings of US dollars. In the latest move, the United States has stopped the Russian government from paying holders of its sovereign debt more than $600 million from reserves held at American banks. The US has already frozen the foreign currency reserves held by the Russian central bank at US financial institutions in the aftermath of the Russian invasion of Ukraine on February 24th. But even after that, the Treasury Department was allowing the Russian government to use those funds to make coupon payments on dollars-denominated sovereign debt on a case-by-case basis. However, on Monday, when the largest of Russia's payments came due, the US government decided to cut off Moscow's access to the frozen funds. An $84 million coupon payment was also due on Monday on a 2042 sovereign dollar bond. The move from the US side was meant to force Moscow to make the difficult decision of whether it would use dollars to access that for the payments on its debt or on other purposes, including supporting its war effort. However, Russia still has a 30-day grace period to make the payment and is trying to make the payments through other sources. Russia has a total of 15 international bonds outstanding, with a face value of around $40 billion. It's so far managed to avoid defaulting on its international debt, despite unprecedented Western sanctions. But the task is getting harder. If Russia fails to make any of its upcoming bond payments within their predefined time periods, or pays in rubles where dollars, euros or other currencies are specified, it will constitute a default. While Russia is not able to access international borrowing markets due to the West's sanctions, a default would prohibit it from accessing those markets until creditors are fully repaid and any legal cases stemming from the defaults are settled.
Территории каких-то соседних государств.
Meanwhile, Imran Khan blamed a US official for his involvement in the alleged conspiracy to topple his government. While making these claims, Imran Khan has flashed a letter. In that letter, according to Khan, Donald Lu, who was the man who made threatening remarks about Imran Khan's government, Donald Lu is a top US diplomat in the State Department. He's the US Assistant Secretary of State for Central Asia. Currently, he's visiting India. An Indian media outlet spoke with the State Department official, where he was asked to comment on the allegations. But Lu evaded the question about regime change in Pakistan. It's been suggested that Lu had a conversation with the Pakistani ambassador in the US. As per this claim, Lu told him that if Imran Khan survives the no-confidence motion, Pakistan will be in trouble and the US won't forgive Pakistan. While in Delhi, Donald Lu was asked about this conversation. But Lu avoided a direct reply and said, quote, "We are following developments in Pakistan and we respect and support Pakistan's constitutional process and the rule of law." Now, Lu is a Foreign Service officer with more than 30 years of US government service. Lu is the top US diplomat in the State Department focused on the region. Khan openly also held the US responsible for the foreign conspiracy to overthrow his government. Pakistan's opposition leaders had ridiculed Khan's allegations, and the US has also dismissed it. Another shocking revelation from inside the US president's home. Apparently, the US Secret Service is paying over $30,000 per month to protect the president's son, Hunter Biden. According to a report by ABC News, the Secret Service has rented a Malibu mansion. Hunter Biden's rental is believed to be $20,000. The Biden family has been receiving around-the-clock protection from the Secret Service ever since Joe Biden became the Democratic presidential nominee in June 2020. Meanwhile, his federal probe into tax affairs has intensified. The Malibu estate is a 4-bedroom and 3-bathroom property. The resort-style home has vaulted high ceilings, chef's kitchen and French doors. The mansion also features a spacious yard with a pool, a spa, a built-in barbecue bar and alfresco dining. The property reportedly has panoramic ocean views, all for monthly rent of $30,000. Incidentally, money spent on protection for first families has come under scrutiny in the past as well. Here are the Washington Post figures for the first year of Donald Trump's presidency. The Secret Service requested $60 million of additional funding to protect Trump and his family. Out of this, about $27 million went into protecting Trump's family at the Trump Tower here in New York City. And at least $1.2 million was spent at various Trump properties looking after the former president's children and their families. Moreover, Trump's courted controversy for generating revenue by charging the Secret Service for space. The US President Joe Biden has hailed his administration's efforts to strengthen the supply chains by creating more jobs in the trucking industry. He said 2021 was the best year for the trucking industry. But the much-awaited driverless trucks are still not ready yet. Our next report tells you why.
With a nationwide shortage of truck drivers, self-driving trucks would appear to have a golden opportunity, but it seems they are missing out. Their robot drivers are not yet ready, and neither are their biggest potential customers, who are in no rush to sign major contracts.
There's certainly still some concerns about how real is it and when will it be there.
Jim Monkmeyer is president of transportation at DHL Supply Chain, one of the giant logistics companies whose buy-in is key to the success of self-driving trucks.
It is a lot of work evaluating the different providers to identify companies like Too Simple that are really at the top of their game, partnering with those companies, working out the routes that fit our network for our shippers.
DHL Supply Chain has so far partnered with Too Simple and competitor Embark and has put in reservations with both for future trucks to be fulfilled in 2024. DHL says contracts with multiple providers are key to reducing risks with the new technology.
We're not at the point where we're shaking it out. I think we're at the point where we're still adding more players.
The CEO of U.S. Express agreed, saying logistics firms like his were still testing multiple self-driving startups as a way to, quote, hedge their bets. While much attention has been focused on self-driving taxis, industry experts increasingly bet on driverless trucks to be the first autonomous vehicles to generate meaningful revenue. But the economics pan out only once the driver is removed. Most self-driving trucks still have safety drivers at the wheel. So far, only Too Simple has removed those drivers in a handful of nighttime trial runs. Too Simple is planning to present per-mile cost calculations in the next few months, said Cheng Lu, the company's former CEO, who now serves as an advisor.
Ultimately, everybody in this industry, the key stakeholders, want to see autonomy happen because of the value proposition.
Making a meaningful dent in the U.S. market of 2.3 million trucks will take time, however, and industry experts project no more than a few 100,000 autonomous trucks over the next decade. Unresolved challenges include how to service the technology, such as radar and camera sensors, as well as making sure self-driving trucks can tackle tough driving conditions, such as snow and ice.
Moving on, the powerful sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un warned today that Pyongyang would be willing to use its nuclear weapons if provoked by Seoul. This threat comes after South Korea's defence minister, Soo Wook, highlighted Seoul's preemptive strike capabilities on Friday, saying that it had the ability to hit any target in North Korea when there are signs of a missile launch. In a statement published by North Korea's state media, Kim Yo-jong called Soo Wook's recent comments a fantastic daydream and hysteria of a lunatic. She also said that the primary mission of North Korea's nuclear forces was to act as a deterrent, but would be used in case of an armed conflict. Kim Yo-young, who is a key policy advisor in Pyongyang, also said she did not think South Korea's military would be a match for North Korea's armed forces. This posturing comes at a time when both Koreas have increased displays of military strength, mainly spurred by Pyongyang's own sanction-breaking weapons test. Since the start of 2022, North Korea has ramped up its weapons testing and fired its first intercontinental ballistic missile at full range since 2017. North Korea's comments are likely aimed towards South Korea's president-elect Yoon Suk-yeol, who has taken a stronger stance against Pyongyang than his predecessor. Yoon's spokesperson told reporters today that preemptive strikes is a globally accepted action, especially when a threat persists. Such statements from both sides suggest that both countries are preparing for a shift in relations once there's a change of guard in Seoul. In India, 4 electric scooters have caught fire in 7 days. This is troubling, especially when there's a strong push for e-vehicles across the world. What caused these vehicles to catch fire? Watch our report to know more.
The world is pushing for the adoption of electric vehicles more passionately than ever before. India too is steering towards a battery-powered automobile revolution. It has a vision and a roadmap for green mobility. But the recent reports of electric scooters catching fire in India could discourage many from adopting e-vehicles. This is the S1 Pro electric scooter that burst into flames in the city of Pune. Fortunately, no one was injured due to the fire. This is not the only incident that has rocked the EV fraternity in the country. Recently, an electric scooter made by Okinawa went up in flames in the city of Vellore. Another electric vehicle player, Pure EV, is also in hot water. A Pure EV scooter caught fire near Manjampakkam, a city in Tamil Nadu. You can see a red color e-bike parked on the side of the highway, engulfed in smoke. A few months ago in Gurugram, a 60-year-old man died and 4 of his family members sustained burn injuries in a fire that broke out in their room after the batteries of an electric two-wheeler exploded during charging. The batteries belong to the Gurugram-based EV firm HCD.
Now, there are very established safety standards, which are basically AIS and ECE standards, where the vehicle is supposed to work within parameters of high temperatures as well as very low temperatures. Obviously, in these cases, something has gone wrong where either there was no thermal warning or there was no cutoff of the vehicle. Because typically, before the vehicle reaches those high temperatures of the battery, there is supposed to be a cutting off of the system so that the fires don't happen.
These events have put a spotlight on the safety of electric vehicles and have led to skepticism among the public. Both prospective and existing users are now raising questions over the safety standards of the electric vehicles. But the most important question here is, why are these electric scooters burning? There is no clarity yet on what is causing e-scooters to go up in flames. There are, however, some reports that claim that the vehicles are heating up due to the blazing summer in India. This idea seems unconvincing to us, though. There is another concern. Most of the EV firms are said to be dependent on cheap Chinese-made lithium-ion batteries. There is an absence of quality control over the manufacturing of these batteries. There are fears that dubious components or faulty quality could have triggered these fires. Software malfunction could also be the cause of these accidents. But these incidents are not just restricted to India. Electric vehicles made by Tesla, Hyundai and General Motors have also caught fire, giving their owners in countries such as the US and China similar terrifying experiences. Manufacturers are aggressively pushing their ambitious EV plans and perhaps taking risky shortcuts. Electric vehicles play a critical role in replacing fossil fuels in the transport sector, and the demand for them is on the rise. However, manufacturers must ensure that safety is not compromised for the sake of mass production.
Now, amid the destruction in Ukraine, there seems to be a life powered by love. 2 medical workers exchanged wedding vows in Kharkiv's underground metro station, attended by their colleagues from the humanitarian group where they work. We leave you with the ceremony. Thanks for watching.
Супер, вообще класс. Да-да-да.
There are many other
This is right, Arab.